In the early 90s, my job was in a crime scene cleanup team. It was 1995 when one of my first calls was to a really fancy home, owned by a rich person. It was located in a very rich area of LA Hills. The home itself was massive and was surrounded by lots of land. I'd never seen a lift in someone's home before. The furnishings hinted at an Asian owner, but that was just my guess, as there wasn't any family pictures left after all the personal content was taken out. The home was multi-level, and it had an indoor pool, cinema, bar, and a gaming room. The garage was big enough to hold 5 cars. I'd never been in a house so big. So we start working on this house and noticed there's damage that didn't fit with the crime scene. It was late on already, so we'd probably be here overnight. In the master bedroom, which has an ensuite, we see bullet holes and trauma signs in and around the shower. Due to the small amount of blood, we guessed they died inside the massive shower. As there was so much water damage throughout this house, we figured that the killer must have left a lot of the taps running when they'd left. We had to remove carpets, baseboards, wooden flooring, cabinets, and any ceilings that were water damaged. Due to the size of the house, we had to split up to get more done. We communicated using our walkie-talkies as we couldn't hear each other any other way once we'd split up. The electricity had been cut from the house, so we were using extension leads and lamps, but it barely helped, so we had to use our flashlights too. 2 of our guys were working on the 4th floor, where the murder took place. Another guy was working by himself in what looked like a bar area, removing wet flooring and baseboards. Another guy was working on one of the huge walk-in wardrobes, ripping up wet carpet and drywall from top to bottom. I was working in a basement area. There was some ceiling and walls that needed to be removed, and we kept finding more and more. Everything that was removed had to then be taken outside to our truck, which took even more time. We noticed our old radios would do a beep-beep sound when someone was going to speak. It couldn't have been interference as nobody else was connected to our line, and as the night went on and we were working, they kept on bleeping, and nobody would speak. On one of the trips to the truck, I had to go up the stairs from the basement and down a hallway. The lights all went out, and the house seemed unnaturally dark. The guys working upstairs could hear music, but couldn't find where it was coming from. We soon realized it'll be at least 3 days till we're finished. We talked about our options, and one of them was, since it was nearly 2 at that point, we should work a few more hours and sleep there and get up and go shower and go back to our office. I did not want to sleep in that house and overruled the idea and said we'll work a bit longer, then call it a day. The following day, we ordered pizza and carried on working. Almost everyone hears some music playing somewhere in the house, but every time you got to the spot, it would stop. The kitchen door opened by itself after being closed the previous day. It was about 1 in the morning now, and I was with one of my guys, and we jumped as we heard a big bang. It sounded like something as big as a sofa hit the ground, but there was nothing out of place. On the last trip, I start to leave the room, going down to the lounge area that lead to a larger open room, then dining room, and onto the kitchen, and I start to hear someone walking towards me and thought it was my co-worker. I call out. No response. I stood there in silence. Then nothing. The last and final day. One guy said he used the only functioning toilet and saw someone walk past the door, and it wasn't one of us. Another one of our guys claimed he heard footsteps in a room next to his work area. We all heard music, but the creepy thing is, we all heard a different genre.